There's memory in your DNA. You know what I'm saying? And a lot of things that we do naturally or just naturally comes to you, you naturally like, you naturally you naturally gravitate towards, it's because of that said memory in your DNA. You know what I'm saying? This is an ancestral connection. You know what I'm saying? So a lot of times you don't always have to set up an altar. A lot of times you don't always have to do some crazy ritual or be trying to talk to the dead or be pulling cards and stuff like that to be connecting with your ancestors, because you are your ancestor. You are all of your ancestors that ever existed before you in the physical form. You know what I'm saying? You know, and that goes back to hundreds of thousands of millions of years of all these different cultures that are inside of you, especially us people of the Americas, because we've been mixing a lot. You know what I'm saying? That's why you'll find somebody and they'll be like Italian, Puerto Rican, Trinidadian, and Jamaican. You know what I'm saying? Because over here we're doing a lot of mixing. So regardless of if all you know is your family's from St. Louis, because of how far our ancestry goes back, there's a lot of DNA to be tapped into. And there's a lot of things that we just do naturally. Because you're the same way people tell you, like, you look like your mom and dad, you act like your mom and dad. People always probably tell you, like, man, you act just like such and such, whatever your dad's name is. Oh, you do the same thing that your mama used to do when she was your age. You know what I'm saying? We have a grandma that they mimicked. We have a grandpa that they mimicked, and they have a grandpa that they mimicked. And then when you keep on going and you keep on going, we're just building. We're like those same people. You know what I'm saying? All their traits, all their tendencies, you know, all the things that they were good at, all the things that they were into, all the foods that they used to like, all the foods that they used to eat, you know, their culture, their spirituality, all that stuff is in our DNA already. You know what I'm saying? And we can tap into it at any time, and we already do. You know, just to let you make it not feel like something that's so out of your reach, like, oh my God, how am I going to tap into it? It's like, no, it's like you already do just by doing some of the things that you do unknowingly. You know what I'm saying? So my belief, if I had to have a conspiracy or something, my belief is that what I like to call indigenous culture, that most people call being ghetto, is demonized because they don't want us to tap into our greatness. You know what I'm saying? Because when we were doing these things the first time, we was doing some great stuff. You know, we was sailing the seas. You know, the we was kings basically. You know what I'm saying? When we was kings, okay, as everyone likes to put it. But when we was in our splendor and things was lovely, this is what we looked like. This is what we acted like. This is what we was talking like. You know what I'm saying? I feel like everybody has this messed up mindset, and let me not really speak to that. I don't know what niggas' mindset be of how they thought those times were and why they think that those people were like just walking around. I guess they think Africa and just walking around all high and noble and you know, just all peaceful, and everything is just peace and love, and black man I love you and black woman I love you. It's like, you know, I feel like everybody has that in their mind because we don't know enough about we don't know in depth enough about indigenous cultures and their practices and how we were living, you know, for real, because it really isn't that different from how we're living now, you know. So I believe that it's demonized because the last time, like I said, we were doing those things, we were in our splendor, you know what I'm saying? And I feel like if we were ever to, that's why they got to tell you it's ghetto. That's why they got to put it in your mind that these things are bad, to run away from them, you know what I'm saying, to keep it out your mind. Like, and a lot of times when you behave or you dress, or which I'm going to get to, or act in these certain indigenous manners, you know what I'm saying, you kind of can be ostracized and outlawed and kind of pushed to the side from this society. So like you can have a hard time fitting in, which is a good thing because this society wasn't made for us. So let me continue. So whatever comes to you naturally, right? I want you to embrace that no matter what it is. You know what I'm saying? Like, and you might have been growing up, depending on where you were raised, how you were raised, whatever. You know what I'm saying? Like, the way I was raised, my mom used to be on some, like, she didn't like do-rags and stuff like that. She didn't like, and I'm sure if you were Caribbean, like, you probably have a similar story. Like, they didn't like you dressing a certain way. You know, even though I still did it or whatever, it's like they looked down on you. You know what I'm saying? And that's just probably like a thing in general. You know what I'm saying? You get looked down on for dressing a certain way. You know, girls, used to get shunned for sometimes like wearing their, their bonnet in the street and stuff like that. And these are the things that just come natural to us. You know what I'm saying? Like, people calling you a thug based on how you dress. You got a bandana on, you a thug. You got a do-rag on, you a thug. You tie something around your head, you a thug. You got your hoodie on, you a thug. You know what I'm saying? You're some sort of criminal. You're doing something wrong. And TV, music videos, hip hop, all this stuff helps to double down on these images and these narratives. You know what I'm saying? And until you really start seeing images in depth and you're open to connecting with them, of people who look like you, doing the things that you like to do now, pretty much living your same story, just in a different time period, because they are your real ancestors. Until you realize, like, oh, wait, hold on. Okay, instead of saying until, I feel like once you start seeing more images of people who look like you, who are living in splendor, you know what I'm saying, which is more of something you probably identify with, because I feel like, a lot of people can't identify with the tribal images that we see of the people that they claim that we descend from. You know what I'm saying? But when you start to see these other images, I'm gonna try to put a whole bunch on the screen and do a old day and modern day one, so you can kind of gain an understanding of what I'm talking about. When you start to see these images, you'll start to realize that we're not really too far off from who we really are, what we really be doing, how we really be dressing, how we get down. You know what I'm saying? We're like a computer with just corrupted data. And the things that come naturally to you, you know what I'm saying, tying things around your head, going outside and you're gonna doing your hair a certain way, you know what I'm saying, like listening to certain type of music, doing certain kind of dances, you know what I'm saying, how you'll just see, you go to a party and the women just can't help but something in their spirit just wants to start twerking, they just want to start dancing, you know what I'm saying. We look at it as, because people have a church or religious mind, that it's just they're being hoes or something is wrong with them or something like that. But they just dancing, they just expressing themselves, you know what I'm saying? If somebody shows a video of some African women doing that dance, all of a sudden, if they're over in a village over there, all of a sudden it's like, oh, this is tribal and it's ancestral and this and that. But when the local girls is doing it or something, it's like them hoes on the street or something like that. You know what I'm saying? So I don't know why we have this sort of mindset, or I should say I do know why we have this sort of mindset, but it's important that we do all we can do to get rid of it. You know what I'm saying? So the things that just come naturally to you, like I said, the music, the bandanas, the headbands, the slang, you know what I'm saying? We like to give it all types of funny names, AAV, Ebonics, all this other stuff, but we talk a certain way because it's based on, who we are. It's like we can't help it. You know what I'm saying? And it's all based on the energy that's around the place too. That's why slang is different everywhere you go. If you go to Cincinnati, them niggas gonna be moving, talking, and doing and bopping a different way than they're gonna be doing in Chicago, than they're gonna be doing in Louisiana, than they're gonna be doing in Jamaica, than they're gonna be doing in the UK, because we react to nature, you know what I'm saying? And we react to the energy that's around us, whether it be in the atmosphere, whether it be how the sun and the stars and stuff are aligning based on where we are, whether it be the energy of the land that we may or may not know about because we don't have enough history on the place. You know what I'm saying? We just react to what's around us. So that's why people act, New Yorkers have a certain way. They have a certain energy. LA has a certain way, or the West Coast in general has a certain way, and the East Coast has a certain way, and it's important to embrace all of that because it's really a part of who you are, you know what I'm saying? I would just suggest to remove the corrupted parts, you know what I'm saying? Maybe niggas don't have to remove there could be something to it why we okay. So maybe niggas don't have to remove the do-rag, but you know what I'm saying? Maybe we can remove what comes with the stereotype. You know what I'm saying? That's what I mean by the corrupted data. Or I don't even know if that's a good explanation. If I can find another one, or a good analogy, I should say. If I can find another one, I'm gonna use it. But I'm saying that we need to embrace all of these things that we practice all over the world. Niggas seem to be doing the same thing. Niggas in New York shoot dice. Niggas in Louisiana shoot dice. Niggas in Chicago shoot dice. And even though I was just explaining how we react to the energy of where we are and we act different, it's like certain things we can't help but do, you know. And even though we might play the game a little different, you know what I'm saying? We might do something a little slightly, just based on our rules on where you are. It's like we're doing a lot of the same stuff, even as simple as playing Uno. Uno is all about numbers and symbols. If you know anything about us and how we was getting down, especially in the ancient days, we all about numbers and symbols. You know what I'm saying? And these things, you'd be surprised. I've seen images, and I'm gonna try to find as many as I can, showing you what I'm talking about. Because when you can see what I mean, you'll have a better understanding. But these images I've seen of, like, it would be like the 1920s. People are wearing them outfits they used to wear in like them old movies. It was like people live in the country. They got them like crazy, big, goofy outfits. Like they work on a farm type shit. You see, and it's like, okay, two sharecroppers shooting dice on their lunchtime. It's like, and it's not just like a bunch of dudes. It's like men, women, kids, and I'm like, oh shit. I'm like, what the fuck? My whole life, shooting dice, you're a thug. Shooting dice, you thinking of some rapper or some ghetto shit or something like that, And when you see that, you're like, oh, wait, this changes the narrative. Because they don't even have money like we have at the time. Like, they do and they don't. Like, money is still, like, paper money and stuff like that is still a very recent concept. You know what I'm saying? They probably still closer to the barter and trade world. So, what are they shooting dice for? You gotta. It makes you raise those type of questions. Like, what are their rules? Like, what are they doing? Like, how long have they been doing that? You know what I'm saying? What game are they playing? And then you start seeing how, like, shooting dice is an indigenous game. You know what I'm saying? Dice games are indigenous games, just like ball games and stuff like that. And you start realizing that it's like, oh, maybe this is why we like watching basketball and football. Maybe this is why we like shooting dice. Maybe this is why we like doing this. Maybe this is why we like doing that. The more and more you study about these cultures, the more and more it helps you connect with your ancient self. You know what I'm saying? You learn about your genealogy and the people of your recent grandparents and stuff. It helps you connect with your recent self. You start going back to the 17, 18, 1900s based on how far you go back. But when you really start going a little farther than that, you see what we was really doing, like, in the BC era and stuff like that. You realize it's really not that far off. There's even images of people, people always show it, they got braids. But not only do they have braids, they got, like, headbands and stuff, you know what I'm saying? They look like how we was looking in the 2000s, where everybody's like, the fashion and stuff was crazy, and we was looking wild and stuff like that. It's like with the bandanas and the do-rags and stuff. But if you see how the Moors and stuff used to look, that's how they used to look. They don't have a bandana. They have the same thing that, like, the Muslim people wear now. The name is slipping my mind. They have the turban and stuff like the Muslim people wear now. But if you really pay attention and look at how we tie it, we're doing the same thing in just a different way, because we are those same people. And that's what I mean by, like, you have to embrace the fact that this shit comes naturally to you. Like, I'll see dudes just take their t-shirt and tie it around their head. And it's like, if you told somebody to pick their shirt up and tie it around their head in that same way, they probably wouldn't even know how to do it. So it's like, how did you remember how to do it? How were you just born knowing how to braid hair or knowing how to use a clipper? How were you just naturally nice at sports? You know what I'm saying? Because you probably descend from, like, a warrior or something. Or you probably descend from someone who was a ball player way back in the day, because especially it was all over the world, but especially in America, we built a lot of ball courts. Like, I know a lot of spiritual people, obviously watching TV and stuff can be a distraction, but a lot of spiritual people believe if you're not standing in the grass all day, that you're just distracting yourself. You know what I'm saying? So people can't understand why so many people like watching sports, why so many people like playing sports and doing stuff like that. Is because that's the type of shit that we was doing. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's like, that's how we was bonding. That's how we was coming together as a community. Like, the same way, that's how we would settle tribal wars and stuff like that. as well as have real ass wars. And the sports is just the middleman for the real wars, for the wars that we used to have. You know what I'm saying? The same way they'd be like, oh, the Buccaneers and the Patriots about to go to war this Sunday. That's how the two tribes will be getting ready to go to war. And we might all line up to watch. Kind of like how you seen on Black Panther when they had to fight to be, how they was competing to be Black Panther. We would have shit like that for real, for real. You know what I'm saying? So the boxing matches, the how we get together to watch the fight, the boxing matches, these things that are just how we get together for the Super Bowl, how we are willing to go to the games, how we dress up, we wear the face paint, go dress up as the mascots and stuff. You know, a lot of people don't know it because they're not open to wanting to know, because they, you know, don't like, one, this information is new to us, but it's really not because it's in our DNA. Two, you know, people have this, the mindset of like, you know, when you get into this, it's like all of that stuff is like the white man stuff is a distraction, da da da. And I'm not saying that it's not a distraction from you doing your work. Obviously, if you're just watching all the games on NFL Sunday and you have a mission that you're on, that you're supposed to be doing something, or you're supposed to be taking care of your kids or running your business or something, whatever it might be, of course it's a distraction. But if you, what I'm trying to point out is, before we were living in a civilization that we're living in now, you know what I'm saying, we were living, you have to watch in movies like Brother Bear and stuff like that, where they get assigned roles. You were born at a certain time on a certain day, and you were and based on that, or you would have certain tests and stuff like that, and based on that, they knew what your role was gonna be. Or maybe you were just a big ass baby, and they're like, "Yep, that nigga's a warrior." You know what I'm saying? So they put you in the 200 BC version of Mighty Mikes and Little League and stuff like that, and they train you to be a warrior the same way you get trained to be a football player or a basketball player. You know what I'm saying? Or if you get put in boxing, or if you get put in karate from a young age, or any combat, or any type of sports or something. We was doing that same stuff, you know, the same way the coach is like the second dad. Back in the day, you would just have some, or the same way you have like several coaches that mentor you and stuff over your life, and become like your teachers and stuff. We had all of that. You know, this is where it comes from. We are just living in the modern day version of this stuff. You know what I'm saying? Even the things that are from the lowest point of us, like drill music and stuff like that. Believe it or not, the same way the drill hits the root chakra, we had drums and stuff for that when it was time to go to war. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, this shit is really not that much different. That's why it's so hard for us to resist it. You know what I'm saying? That's why it's like, it'll be like, why do the women are attracted to a certain type of man look? Or why are men attracted to a certain type of woman look? And not something that they've been conditioned to be attracted to. Don't get it mistaken for that, because, you know, if you see something enough in your mind, or you're under some sort of spell, you can get tricked into anything. But I'm talking about naturally. You know what I'm saying? What comes naturally? Why be like so many women or so many men attracted to a certain type of look or a certain type of man? Even when we look down on it, it'd be like, why does, or people so I should say, when people look down on them or question it, be like, why do all the women want to be with like a hood dude or something? You know what I'm saying? There's something to that we don't realize, analyze, or ever try to get into. You know what I'm saying? We just kind of put it to the side because these are the type of people who have been ostracized or have been shunned by society, you know. And this is my belief based on my research, based on the things that I find out basically on a daily. But all of these things are the real indigenous practices of us. You know what I'm saying? Like, the things that you call like carnival and stuff, how all the women be so excited, you know what I'm saying, to go dress up in the feathers and do their outfits and stuff like that. And sometimes people can't even understand, because sometimes they just think it's about them getting naked or something. They don't even realize, like, that's how our ancestors was probably walking around and dressing and stuff like that 24/7 all the time. And there's a reason to why we like this stuff. There's a reason to why we run to it. There's a reason why we can't resist it. You know what I'm saying? It's like, no matter what, I gotta get to carnival. You know what I'm saying? I could be depressed. I could have a $500 in my pocket, but I gotta go. You know what I'm saying? Because those things are a part of who we really are and how we were really living before we were in this situation that we in now. And like I was saying, the sports, the music, the things we do with our hair, even these narratives we have that we straighten our hair because of colorism and we straighten our hair because of colorism and all these fancy words like like texturism and trying to get a job and stuff like that. You'd be surprised when you read up that we was doing this stuff with like bear grease and stuff like that way back in the day. You know what I'm saying? We was doing this kind of stuff with certain seed oils and stuff like that way back in the day. You see stories of men and women wearing like horsehair or wearing certain type of braided wigs. Like in Egypt, all they wore was like braided wigs. The same braided wig, the same shit you see most of our women wearing today. You know what I'm saying? So-called Egypt. That's all they was wearing. So there's a reason why we like doing this stuff, you know, and you need to embrace it and stop letting people, even the long nails, all of it. Women have a feline connection and cats have a thing with their nails. All of this connects. You know what I'm saying? It's all goes back to something. And that's why you do it naturally. And you got to stop, you know, no matter what it is. Whatever comes natural to you is for a reason. Whether it be makeup, doing wigs. And I'm talking about those stuff because sometimes being a dancer, actor, sports, whatever, athlete, I'm talking about that stuff because a lot of times when you're into the spirituality, some people overlook this kind of stuff and feel like it doesn't matter. It's like, if you ain't the nigga doing yoga, if you ain't the nigga with the herbs, if you ain't the nigga, you know, standing in the grass barefoot, it's like you just are wasting time on this planet and you ain't doing nothing. When in reality, you know, our daily lifestyle kind of involved these practices, so we didn't really have to go out of our way to be like ODing it. You know, we didn't have shoes, so you're always walking in the grass. You know what I'm saying? That type of shit, for example. So we never had to like overly do that. So when you were being the hairdresser, you were still the walking in the grass crystal motherfucker, because that's just a part of our lifestyle. You know, so we didn't have to overly do it. You know, turban was the thing of the day. Do-rag is just the new turban. So it was just the way you see a nigga in a do-rag is the way you saw a nigga in a turban. So a nigga didn't, so we didn't have to like, you know, be extra. It's just who we were, and it's who we still are. So for you people who sometimes can't understand, it's like, you know, why people want to rap, sing, and do all these other stuff, you might be limiting yourself to the things that you're supposed to be tapping into that come naturally to you, because all you're trying to do is limit yourself to your one little box of spirituality. But spirit isn't everything. You know what I'm saying? Because spirit is energy, and it takes energy to do anything, and energy is everything. So I am really going on a rant now. I feel like I'm just talking, but I don't know. I feel like this got to be said. Like, this is way more than I planned to say. I had just planned to, like, you know, lay out some basics, you know, and kind of do more follow-up videos, but I guess this is what needs to be said and what needs to be heard. So if you made it this far, I commend you. You know what I'm saying? That means you're interested, and I hope that if you want to learn more, you want some sources, you want some books, please just let me know. You know, I'm gonna try, like I said, I'm gonna try to post all the pictures that I can. But the last thing I'm gonna say is, if you want to connect with your ancestors, if you want to connect with your ancestors and you want to free yourself, you need to be yourself. You know what I'm saying? And I wasn't trying to rhyme, but that is the biggest thing. You know, I see people's ancestry on them. You know, literally, I can see that you look like your dad, especially if I know you and your dad or whatever. And then because I study our ancestors so much, and I look at these images, it's like I'm just programmed to see you. Like, I look at this nigga in a turban, and I look at you, and I see the nigga in the do-rag, and I see the same nigga. You know what I'm saying? And I realize that once we start being who we are naturally, and that comes way past dressing and music and stuff like that, but once we start being who we are naturally and getting into having fun and letting go of these narratives and letting go of these practices and letting go of these things that don't serve us in a positive manner and have never served us in a positive manner, then you will really be free. You know what I'm saying? And I'm not talking about on some white man slavery type shit. I'm talking about being free to be who you want to be. You know what I'm saying? I'm saying like whatever that might look like, you know, you got to be yourself for all the people in your ancestry that couldn't be themselves, because their DNA is still in you, trying to use those talents, all those things that they was thinking about and they couldn't do because we were living in such a heavy religious world. Like, you don't understand, like, OnlyFans and stuff like that is the extreme, and you still shouldn't even have any judgment about that. But like 20, 30 years ago, shit, even when I was a kid, like, if you remember when girls used to do drill, like, have you ever seen the Busta Rhymes video where they like touch it, bring it, and the girls are doing drill at the beginning? Like, to my grandmas and stuff, that was some horror shit. Like, you know what I'm saying? That was, you're doing too much. That's the type of world we're coming from, where we haven't been living out as ourselves. We haven't even been able, like, men haven't been able to do simple shit like grow a beard, you know, grow your hair out. Women haven't been able to color their hair and wear any type of lipstick and dress any type of way they want freely. You know what I'm saying? We've been closed in a box, and the energy that makes us up is supposed to be bouncing all around like this water. You know what I'm saying? It's not supposed to be just boxed in. By the way, let me take a look. And the energy used to create us is not supposed to be boxed in. You know what I'm saying? It's supposed to be free. It's supposed to be free flowing and doing this thing. And we are in a time where you can take advantage of being free flowing again, because you can be anything you want. You know what I'm saying? You can pretty much do anything you want right now. And I don't mean that in a go out and kill somebody GTA type of way. I'm talking about like tattoos on your face and stuff is the extreme. But if you had like a tattoo and it just said the number 1 and it was visible like maybe 15 years ago, you could be like ostracized from your community. Like, you know what I'm saying? I'm not even talking about 50 years ago. I'm talking about simple shit. You know what I'm saying? Like, there's a lot of things that we couldn't do. Like, I still have female cousins that can't wear anything but long ass jean skirts. You know what I'm saying? They can't even put on a pair of mom jeans because that's too whorish. I'm not talking about lingerie. I'm not talking about like showing your stomach, which there should be nothing wrong with none of that. I'm talking about basic shit like showing your legs, or like just wearing jeans. Even if you was covered up and the jeans was baggy, they can't do that because that's like some horror shit. So if you are in a time period where you could wear a mini skirt, or you could wear a do-rag, or you could wear a snapback, or you could get a job and be making money and you don't have to be in a suit and fucking hard bottoms all the time, or in fucking construction shoes or whatever, or, you know, a lot of Jamaican people had to grow up on some real militant shit where they couldn't grow their hair out and stuff like that. Being a Rasta was like not a good thing. If you could be growing your hair out and have a beard and get into those practices that I was talking about, that just comes naturally. If you have the opportunity to wear your bonnet to the store and do your own thing and not and no one's gonna be like attacking you, like, I'm saying you need to do that shit. Like, that's how you're gonna free yourself. And that's really how you're gonna connect with your ancestors, because they gonna live through you because they are you. You know what I'm saying? And I am talking a lot, and I hope that this makes sense. And I feel like, you know, this is just one big channel of something that needs to be said and needs to be heard. And I definitely want to do more of this, because the connection of us putting the pieces back together to our indigenous history, our indigenous life, and our indigenous spiritual practices is going to be something that can save us for real. And when I mean by saving us, I mean by giving you tools to save yourself, because nobody can save you. But the more you remember who you are, and this is all of just about knowledge of self, ultimately. This isn't about going back to no Mayan temple, no Egyptian temple. This isn't about getting an Egyptian name and living like them again and start dressing like them and eating their diet or whatever and trying to be them again. It's like, we're them right now, you know. So that's what this is about. Being yourself to reconnect with that energy of then in the now, and using those tools to help yourself now. You know what I'm saying? And finding the love of yourself by realizing that the things that people have been demonizing that you are about you, and the things that you're into are the things of great people and the practices of great people. Going back to that twerking example, that is some highly magical shit. That New Orleans bounce, biggity bounce shit, that back that ass up, as ignorant and as like as ignorant as that might seem, because the way your brain has been bred to perceive things, like that is some magical shit. You know what I'm saying? There's a reason why only those women can do that. Or there's a reason why when them songs come on, that's like the first, like it just awakens an energy inside of them. It doesn't put an energy in them, because not everybody can do it. Some women can't dance. Some women can't move like that. It awakens an energy inside of them, meaning that it was already in them to be doing that. It just needed something to turn it on. You know what I'm saying? And I don't want this video to be any longer, but free yourself by being yourself. And if you really like this video, if you watched it, if you found it interesting, please just let me know. Leave a like, a comment, share your thoughts, because I feel like this type of stuff is necessary. For a long time, we have been taught to hate ourselves. And once you fall in love with yourself and realize how great you are, and not in a cliche way, you know what I'm saying? It's going to be easier to manifest the life that you want and get on your journey. Believe in yourself, to stay the course no matter all the obstacles, all of that, because you're going to know who you are. Because right now you don't know who you are, and you're getting told who you are. But you do know who you are because it's all in the way that you act. You know what I'm saying? It's just that you don't love the way that you act because somebody's been telling you that's ghetto, that's. But those things are actually beautiful. You know what I'm saying? And I could just be going all day with this, but the next time I do this, I'm coming with cited sources, books, stuff like that you could read and help you put the pieces of the puzzle together like I have, and continue to empower yourself so you can get where you're going on your journey.